Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing great.
So it all started, strangely enough, a few years ago, 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, at the Hotel Vitale.
That's right.
Talk about how Wanderlust got started and where it is today.
Well, in 2009, we launched our first festival, which was up at Squaw Valley. It was actually the first time a festival had been done up on the top of the mountain since 1991, when the Jerry Garcia band played the Squaw Valley Music Festival, and I was there.
That's a great legacy.
And we were the next people after Bill Graham to get up there. And so that was in 2009, and about a month before the event, we couldn't sell a ticket. You know, the first year, it's so hard. So we came out, I brought my family out to the Bay Area, and we're like, okay, we're gonna wire this community up. We're gonna get people psyched. So we actually did an event on the roof deck of the Vitale Hotel, and we brought together all the studio owners and all the kind of eco-innovators and the teachers and the mover and shakers in the yoga world, just to get everybody stoked up about Wanderlust. And that was really the first event that we did.
And so now, just 4 years later, where are we?
We are everywhere.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're in Chile and all across North America, and in Austin and British Columbia and Tremblant, north of Montreal, and about to be in New Zealand and Australia, with about 12 or 15 of these things around the world. So everything has to start somewhere, but there's a demand for this idea. There's a cultural demand, and in some ways we just feel like we're meeting the demand.
So when you say this idea, define the idea.
Yeah, well, the idea is really about sort of creating community around mindful living. That's kind of our core mission. But it's really about sort of combining yoga and all of the correlated interests of the yoga lifestyle. So organic food and being outdoors and intellectual personal development in sort of a music festival environment where we're building stages outside and bringing in high-level production and sort of taking that notion of a yoga retreat and putting it on organic steroids.
Love it. Yeah. Love it. And so why is this important today in the 21st century? Why do you think people are so drawn to it magnetically?
Yeah, well, I think people are drawn to Wanderlust because there is like an emerging culture for yoga in the greater sense, but I also just think as a broader festival idea, I think, people interact through social media so much now, and it's your friends and your followers, and I think people have a yearning to actually get out of the virtual world and get back to the real world and gather with like-minded folks. And we provide a certain container for shared values, but there's other ones, all over the place, like cool little food festivals and other esoteric kind of festivals that gather like-minded people sort of in the real world and not the virtual world. And that's why I think this idea of this sort of niche festival is affluorescent.
Love it.
Yeah.
Last question, any festivals that you really like around the world of any kind? Music, food, lifestyle?
Well, I gotta tell you that Wanderlust has so many events that I like. It's almost the last thing I want to do is go to another event, but we have to, because honestly, that's where we get a lot of our inspiration, is actually by checking out what other people are doing. So there's actually two sides of that. There's sort of like the big music festivals, which is the world sort of I came from, like Bonnaroo and Lollapalooza and Austin City Limits, and always like sort of the production level that they're pushing all the time. But then on the flip side, I think it's kind of more of these cool, interesting Wisdom 2.0, the Summit, those kinds of things that are actually highly curated. So I think what we try to do is sort of take the highly curated and try to actually translate that on a grand scope, where it's not just 40 or 50 people think tanking. It's actually 3,000 or 4,000 people per day involved in a participatory kind of festival where people are taking information and finding gems of wisdom from each other. And I think it's combining those two sort of inspirations, the large scale with the sort of curated, interesting, niche festival and trying to marry those things.
Love it. I'm gonna just finish up by yeah, there we go.
I'm wearing the merch. That's it.
Wanderlust. We love it.
All right,
Thank you.
Jeff.
Here in Whistler.
You're the man.